Thank you for joining How Teachers Are Transforming Education Across Africa, one classroom at a time. Today, we are welcoming Gloria Anima, who is coming to us from the Bono region. I'll let her tell you the area so that it gets pronounced correctly. And we'll hear how she, as a head teacher, is really working hard with the community and with all the resources that she can muster to really develop education in her area. I'm so excited to talk with her today. And yeah, so let's welcome her. So let's welcome Gloria Anima. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, your educational journey?
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Gloria Anima Jr. I come from Brekum in the Bono region of Ghana, and I'm a basic school head teacher with 18 years, 5 months working experience, and I hold a Master of Education in Educational Leadership and then Master of Arts Human Resource Development.
Oh, wow. And so what made you want to get into education in the first place? How did you
Okay,
start?
so I started my secondary education from Ola Girls, Kenyasi, and then proceeded to St. Joseph's College of Education, Bichim. And then from there, I was posted to Abuabo number 4 Presbyterian Primary School as a teacher. Before later, I became a head teacher. But then, before I was posted to Abuabo, or when I started my College of Education in basic education, actually, I never thought of becoming a teacher. I was thinking, oh, after secondary school, I'll go to the university, pursue fashion design, and probably if I'm done or if I complete, I'll help the less privileged by equipping them with the fashion design skills. Unfortunately, life has its own twists and turns. I find myself in the College of Education, and then I go to Abu Abu. And then when I go to Abu Abu, I was still thinking I will pursue my fashion. But then I got to this school and I saw a dilapidated school building with few children around. And I was so devastated. In fact, I was so sad because the building wasn't good. And then when they rang the bell for assembly, only few children came. They were around 80 plus. In fact, I was so sad. But as I was contemplating how I'll be able to navigate through to at least adjust myself to the system. I just heard the voice, you have been brought here for purpose. And from that time, I developed love for the work as a teacher. I started thinking about ways that I could lobby for classroom blocks so that at least the children will have conducive learning environment. And here
Nice.
I find myself today being able to transform a school which was virtually collapsed.
Wow. So from the beginning, you wanted to do fashion design because you wanted
Yes,
to help the less fortunate. That's like, it's so interesting how
yes,
life brings us around to, I mean, I don't know who your students are, but to help, I mean, kids are less fortunate in the terms of that they can't make their own way. They need support, they need help, right? So
yes,
I mean, changing from that fashion design and then coming to education, but fulfilling the motivation that you had that was taking you to fashion design in the first place is amazing. It's amazing how life works out and gives us the work that becomes very meaningful to us. And I find that
yeah.
so many of the teachers that I talk to, they originally did not want to be teachers. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like, what is it about Ghana and I don't know, the idea of who a teacher is? What is it that holds them back from like growing up thinking like, I want to be a teacher, or teaching is great and I'm going to impact so many lives? Like that is anybody who I've talked to so far, that's not been their story. Can you speak to that at all? Like, is there any reason why that exists?
Okay, so I think that most people don't desire to become teacher because of one. I may be right or wrong, but then most people think about the salary and oh, teachers they receive less, and so they would want to at least become nurses, doctors, lawyers, vocation that will give them more salary. Yes, but for my kids, my father was a teacher, my mother was a teacher, but then right from basic three, I started using the needle and thread to sew pieces of cloth. Like I would use it to sew a dress for my doll and all that. So I had that desire to be sewing. That's the reason why I didn't want to become a teacher. But now I am proud. I've become a teacher. Yeah.
And you still have the ability to sew.
Yes.
So you can still use it
And sometimes, little,
help
little.
your
So
students.
I have sewing. Yes, I have sewing machine in the house, and I have one too in the school. So the one in the school during COVID, I after we resumed from COVID-19 2021, I started sewing nose masks for my learners, and then I also used the machine to patch their torn uniforms. My challenge
Wow.
is that I don't know how to cut, but I know how to sew. Yes.
Okay, so that's another skill that you can add to your repertoire later. But so speaking to that whole
Yes.
attitude of like Ghanaians wanting to grow up to be nurses or doctors or lawyers, I'm really hoping that all the people who are listening can really see that education is a path that has so much meaning because all the teachers that I talk to, they've given their heart to the kids and they've found so much meaning in their
Yeah.
life. And meaning is
Yes.
more important than salary in the end. I mean, we all need to eat and we all need a place to live, but God provides, right? And so when we can fill up our hearts,
Yes.
then our stomachs sometimes get full also in a different way. So when you were a teacher at the school and you said it was a dilapidated building and stuff, so what was it that like how did you become the head teacher? What was it in you that pushed you to become the head teacher? And then talk a little bit about like what did you do to make those changes?
Okay, so when I was posted to Aboabo Number 4 Presbyterian Primary School, that was in 2007. I was part of the first batch of diploma program. And so in my school, out of the 10 teachers, I was the only one with diploma certificates. And then the head teacher who was there at that time was the only one who was a professional teacher. The rest were all untrained teachers. We used to call them at that time people teachers. And so when I went and met the school in that kind of dilapidated nature, and it's like people were withdrawing their kids from the school. And I felt like I needed to do something. I lobbied for a 6 unit classroom block because my thinking was that if children can learn and learn well, they need to have a conducive learning environment. And a conducive learning environment cannot be achieved without adequate sitting and writing places and then good classroom where teachers can move around, children can move around, and then instructional delivery can go on. So I lobbied for a 6 unit classroom block in 2010 and was completed in
You
2014.
you lobbied for that to whom? To the government.
So yes, through the government. So I went to the municipal chief executive office in 2009 and then 2010 he came and did the sod cutting and then they started the project.
Oh, wow. And when was it completed? What year
It
was it
was
completed?
completed in 2014.
Wow.
2014. So we started using it 2014, 2015 academic year.
So and you were a head teacher at that time? You were the head
Yes.
teacher.
When
So
I was,
I just wanted to say that the example to set is that if you put your mind to it and you go to the
yes,
people that are supposed to be providing, you
exactly.
can get stuff done. But
Yes,
it takes somebody to get up and go to the office and to write the letters and to talk to the right people and to put everything in motion. So I just want to encourage anybody who's listening that there are ways and means of getting things done, and we don't have to always just sit back and wait, right? We can push it forward. Like, did you have
yes.
people backing you, or did you?
Yeah, so before I embarked on that journey, I spoke with my head teacher at that time. And then he said, oh, you can go ahead and go to the MC. So, at first, when I went to the MC's office, it wasn't easy. But then at the back of my mind, I said I wanted the children to have a good place, a good classroom to sit. So I was not looking at the challenge, but I was looking at ways that will help the children get a conducive learning environment. And so by the grace of God, I touched the heart of the MC, and then he came to do the sword curtain for the project to commence.
Nice, nice, beautiful. And so it just goes to show, like, when you set yourself a goal and you push towards it, then you can get what you desire. So
Yeah.
what other kinds of, like we talked the other day, and you talked a lot about the different,
Yeah.
activities that you did to really build up the education in your
Okay.
community. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Okay, so the 6 unit classroom block was inaugurated in 2014-2015 academic year. So when that was done, the foundation of every school stems from the KG. So you cannot have a good school, a good model school, and the KG will be in a bad state. So I felt like, okay, the KG, they were learning under tree. So I said, no, I need to get a learning. They also need to get their own classroom block. So it dawned on me to start with a fundraising. I went to the chief of the town, Berimo Kujetu Hajiman. I spoke to him, Nana, we need to get a new classroom block for these children. And I want to start with a fundraising. He said, oh, go ahead and do it. At that time, I had become the substantive head teacher of the school. So when he gave I just spoke with my teachers and the SMC executives, PT executives. They all gave their support. And so set a committee for it. And then we splitted the date where we were going to have the fundraising. We had the fundraising in 3rd December 2015. And then I had a target. So I felt like in stakeholder mobilization, engagement, and all that, you need to speak to people. So I felt like, okay, who have the resources in this jurisdiction, I mean, Doma municipality, that can support me put up that 3 unit classroom block for the KG learners. And then I chanced on the principal of a vocational school we have in Doma, and they said, oh, our support would be like the 3rd year student will come and then be molding the blocks and use that as their sort of practical. So oh, that's
Nice.
amazing. Then they
That's an
gave me
excellent
the bill
idea.
of quantities. So I used the bill of quantities to do the fundraising. Unfortunately, when the fundraising was done, we could not get the amount that was stated in the bill of quantities. And I said, no, I can't give up. I need to put up this building. What can I do? Then I started writing proposals. I sent some to US Embassy, and then I took some to the Ministry of Education. And to the glory of God, the ministry adopted it, handed it over to Get Fund, and then Get Fund help us to secure another 3 unit classroom block with ancillary facilities. And currently my KG learners are using. And so because it's 3, we are using 1, 2 as crèche classroom where we enroll children from 2 years up to 4 years. So 4 years, then they go to KG1 and then KG2 before they come to basic 1.
Wow, you're such an example of resilience and pushing forward, even though there's so many challenges. You just keep going and asking the right people, and such an example for Ghanaians across the country to really just put in that effort. And so from 2010 to 2014, you were able to get the 6 classroom block. And then you didn't stop there. And you're just like, oh,
Yes.
the KG. And so we need a 3 classroom block. So now you have the 9 classroom blocks. Is that what it is?
Yes. Then
Wow.
afterwards, children started coming to the school. Then at some point, we were faced with sitting and writing places. And so in 2022, we had lots of children in the school. We had grew from 97 to 500 plus children. And Dua desk is supposed to contain only 2 children. And we had 4 children sitting on the Dua desk. I said, no, what I have to do is to initiate something called GoFundMe online. So I gave a description of my school, a bit history of it, a picture of the children in that testing classroom, and then people saw it, Get Fund saw it. And at some point, before Get Fund came to aid, people donated some small amount. So I was able to use that to construct about 25 dual decks. And then later on, Get Fund came to our aid. They supported us with 100 an 80 dual decks, enough for the kids starting from KG1 up to basic 6. And then we were able to have 4 library tables, 5 library shelves. I had a cabinet for my office. I had 2 head teachers tables. I had 46 teachers tables, some for the children in the library, some for my office, some for the teachers. I had 13 teachers table, and then 1 notice board, and it was amazing. So immediately I had those, how do I put it? The furniture and all the library shelves and the rest, I posted them on my Facebook page. And then somebody said, Gloria, do you have books in your library? I said, no. And then the person also came in 2023 to support our library with 3,000 reading books. And so currently we have, is it quote unquote an ultra modern kind of library, because we also have digital literacy tools there, which is supporting our ICT department. So, and then I've been able to secure a projector for my school. I also have photocopier, the double one in the office, where we used to print project work and other printing work for the school. I also have a scanner. I have few computers.
And then so for ICT, what are you doing?
And then laptops.
Yeah, so how many laptops do you have?
So currently the one for the school, we have 3, and then the teachers too, they have by 1 teacher, 1 laptop project. They all have laptops. Yes. And the school currently have 3 projectors. But I'm looking at a day where I will be able to make all my classrooms smart classrooms, where teachers will be not only be using the marker or the chalk to teach, but also be projecting, so that through PowerPoint presentation and other things, if you're teaching something and then you want the children to know, for instance, really, if you're teaching about fruits, you can bring real oranges to the classroom. But children learn through seeing objects and other things. So if they can see the images of how oranges look, fruit looks like, the various kinds of fruit looks like, I think they will be so good to what you are teaching. And then it will also at least help the teacher deliver well, and also help the children to understand the concept that the teacher is teaching or delivering. So that's what I am looking forward to achieving for my school.
So just in terms of like when you arrived and looking back at the picture of what you saw, you said it was a dilapidated building that was even made from the clay, right? It wasn't even bricks. It was an old school. And then so that was 2010 till now, 2026, that's 16 years. And you've been able to work to bring the facilities to the buildings, to the desks, to the shelves, to the books, to the ICT. And so one thing is that when you ask for it, you can receive it. If you're sitting down and you're not asking for it and getting up to go get it as well, not just sitting down and saying, oh, I want this thing, but getting up and saying, hey, can you give me this thing from here or from here or from here, and asking until you get. That's so encouraging to see where you started from and what you have now. And so one of the things that the UN talks about in the SDG, those goals, sustainable development goals, is the quality of education. So the quality of education starts with, like what you said, the facilities, the amenities, the things that you have to learn. But so then now that you have it, where do you see you pushing the teachers to really develop the education so that they're really prepared for the 21st century?
Okay, so because I now have most of the things that will support teachers' instructional work, anytime we embark on reading competition and other quizzes, our school always top. We almost secure first position. Popularly, they call her Mama Brew. So every PLC, every 2 weeks, we engage her during our PLC lesson.
PLC? Professional Learning Community.
Professional Learning Community, yes.
And you have during that professional
learning, said
every week?
So, every week, Wednesday, from 1:00 to 2:30. Every Wednesday. And so every 2 weeks, Wednesday, we engage with online facilitation from Mama Brew. She's known as Jacqueline Brew from the US. It's a sort of online training that she gives us so that my teachers will be able to deliver well in the classroom.
Wow. So you've just pulled out all the stops to make sure that the kids of your community are getting the best education possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What an amazing heart. So if you were to talk to teachers across Ghana, teachers or head teachers, what are some pieces of advice that you would give them to really build up education? And then you can talk about, okay, yeah, so answer that question and then I'll ask the next one.
Okay, thank you so much. So I always want to encourage teacher. Every teacher is a leader one way or the other. So leadership is not just about head teachers being leaders of schools. Teachers in our classroom, we are also leaders. And so we join forces with the head teacher to make the school thrive. And so when you identify challenges in your school, you don't have to be complaining. You know, sometimes teachers, we are fond of, I wouldn't take myself out, every challenge that we see. For instance, if you don't have enough learning materials, you don't have enough textbook, we don't have enough sitting and writing places, we tend to be talking about it, complaining, government is not doing this, government is not doing that. But we are part of the government. God has given us that mandate that we can use our hands with a pen and paper to write something. So in case you identify that in your school, the children are sitting on the floor, in your community, there are some people who are chainsaw operators. You can go to them and solicit support, get wood. You can go to people who, by the grace of God, have made it in life. You can talk to them. They can give you resources that you'll be able to construct chairs or do others for the learners. And if it's about a classroom too, you can also be writing letters to benevolent people to come in to support you. So when you identify challenges in your school, don't be complaining, but look at the appropriate quarters, identify such appropriate quarters, speak to them. They will come to your aid and support you. It depends on how you go about with your presentation. If you do not sell your school well, you will not get people to buy your school. So with my school, my vision is to change the narrative of teaching in rural communities. So it's not about where the school is located. It is about what we can do to make the schools thrive. So as a teacher, always think about the things that you can do to make your school thrive, the resources that you can acquire to make your school thrive. You know, in my school, we have a lot of children that come from catchment areas. We have about 5 catchment areas where the children walk about 6 miles, some walk 7 miles, others 10, 12, and the rest. And most of them come to school after 10 a.m. And by the time they get to school, they are always tired. So when I saw that in 2018, I initiated something like buying bicycle for them. And I was using my salary. So the first 2 bicycles I bought, I used my salary. The second, making 4, I used my salary. Then later on, I started posting them, soliciting support from people that please, the children, by the time they get to school, they are already tired and they come to class and they are sleeping. I don't want them to sleep. I want them to also join their colleagues in the morning and start lessons with them. So please support me get bicycles. And by the grace of God, I can boast of almost 30 bicycles that I've been able to
Wow.
secure for the learners. Yes, and I'm still soliciting.
It
And
sounds
some
like
of
you're
the
a procurement officer for your school.
some of the learners too, you know, my school is located in a farming community. So some of them financially are not too sound. And so some of them, the children, they come to school with bushy hairs and all that. I said, oh, instead of sacking them or using scissors to just trim part of the hair and demoralize them, why don't I shave them myself? So I do shave the learners myself. And sometimes when you put your hand on the eye, you see some of them sleeping, some of them smiling. It motivates them. So I will urge every teacher listening to me that don't look at your location. Wherever you have been posted to, God wants you to go there to make impact. Think about ways and means that you can work around to curtail the situation that you find yourself, and you will be able to achieve excellence only if you put your mind towards it and you become committed and dedicated to the work that you have chosen. It's never a mistake you chose to become a teacher.
Awesome. I love that. I love that encouragement for the teachers. So if you could tell the teachers something that they can do in their classroom without resources or without doing anything special, but one change that they could make that would really make the classroom better? What have your teachers done without adding any materials or resources, but just by themselves? What have they been able to do, and how has that impacted the kids? And something the teachers could take and maybe even do tomorrow.
Okay, so to help the children learn how to read and write well, every day we go to school very early. By 6:40, the teachers are already having their morning devotion. By 7, we are in the classroom. And from 7 to 8, before we go for morning assembly, the teachers engage the children in reading and writing activity. So they use that time to also offer support for, should I put it, inability children, children that we think that they are not doing so well. They use that time to offer support for them. Yes, challenge. They use that time to offer support for them. And currently, Ghana, we are embarking on differentiated learning. And so from 9 a.m. to between 9 a.m. to 10 years, the teachers, they segregate themselves, and then they put the children in levels depending on their abilities, and then they support them through the differentiated learning activity. Yes, that's what they have been doing. And then sometimes too, because you cannot just be teaching without teaching and learning resources, we have stipulated time. We have scheduled a time where sometimes we meet, myself and the teachers, and we use the cardboard markers and other things to just make enough teaching and learning resources so that as they're teaching, they'll be using those resources in their classroom to support their instructional work.
Awesome. Awesome. And what about mind shift? What about the perspective? What is the kind of perspective that a teacher needs to have to be really successful? Did you get me?
Please come again.
What is the
No, the line was.
What is the perspective that the teachers need to have in order to be really successful?
In the teaching profession.
Yeah, in the classroom.
They just need to have, yes, they need to have that kind of right mindset. They need to have positive mindset, positive attitude towards the work in order to be successful. You cannot be a successful teacher without exhibiting positive attitude towards work. And then you cannot be a successful teacher without collaborating. Man is no repository of knowledge. You may not know everything entirely. And so you need to collaborate with your friends, other teachers from different schools. If you don't understand anything, talk to teachers, talk to people, work well with your teachers, work well with your head teachers. And at the end of the day, you'll be successful in your classroom. Whatever you do not understand, you ask your teachers, they will come in. So in my school, we also have something we call lesson study. And the lesson study is on our action plan. So before every term begins, my assistant head teacher, who is the curriculum lead, sits with the teachers, and they all schedule with him the time that they want us to embark on the lesson study. And what we actually do during the lesson study is that we have a professional learning community on Wednesdays. So the Tuesday before the Wednesday, we schedule to go to a class, probably basic one. But we go there with our pens and papers, and then we'll be observing. We don't make noise. We don't say anything. We just observe as the teacher delivers. And then during the professional learning community time, the moderator, one of the teachers serve as a moderator, will be talking about how, will be asking us questions. What did you see that the teacher did well and needs to improve? Then we will talk about what did you see that you think that if the teacher works around it, will be able to improve upon his or her delivery. Then we talk about it constructively. Then when we are done, then the teacher himself or herself, the teacher that we went to his or her class, will also come and tell us his or her view about the whole activity, and then we offer suggestions for improvement. So that's what basically we do in our school. And through that, by the time we are done, in case you are struggling to teach a particular strand and you saw the teacher delivered and then you felt like, oh, I can adopt this pedagogy or methodology he used, it actually helps because by the time we are done, you are able to acquire that kind of skill or the pedagogical skill so that you can also use that in your classroom. And it's really helping us a lot.
And so what positive change have you seen in the relationships between your teachers?
There's that kind of collaboration and there's that kind of teamwork. And so organizations institutions of which schools are also part are able to thrive when there's that kind of team dynamics. Sometimes you disagree to agree, but at the end of the day, you all come to a consensus. And so in my school, we don't have that kind of small groups within a group. We are all one unit and we all move towards the same direction. We want to make our school a focal point where everybody will use something to change the narrative of teaching in rural communities. So if you are going right, you cannot go left. You have to follow us and go the same direction.
Right.
So we have that kind of teamwork in our school.
Wow, I really love that. I love how the collaborative everybody is and that everybody can take feedback from each other. And I mean, without advisors, we're not going to grow, right? We're not our own best judgment. And so when we have other people's eyes on what we're doing, we can really grow. And I love that. And I really think how you said you wanted your school to be a model school. I really think that that one thing would really benefit across the board. Because when the teachers are doing that, then the students will also see that. And they will also see like, oh, when somebody says that I need to improve this, it's not an insult, it's help. And so changing that kind of viewpoint from being offended by what people say, really taking everything as like, oh, I can really learn something from this and I can really become better and do better because of that. That's amazing. And when I come to Ghana, I totally want to come and visit your school and meet your teachers and see.
Oh, I can't wait.
That would be so fun to be able to.
That would be amazing.
And then I hope that there are other people who could reach out to you and say, hey, like, can you help us to do that in our community, especially the rural communities? Like, I just feel so excited to hear what's happening and what can happen.
Okay.
And I hope the listeners, you're also hearing, like, we don't have to sit back. We don't have to accept a situation that could be improved. We can make movements. We can open our mouths and we can ask people. And because basically, I don't think there's anybody in Ghana who doesn't want the kids to have the best education. Like when they think about what they want, they know that that's what they want. But how do we get it? And you've just given us so many ideas and you've opened my eyes to like what is possible even in rural communities in Ghana. And so that is amazing. I love that. People can just imitate all of the things that you have to say. I don't know. Do you have any more words of wisdom for us so that we can just go to bed so happy tonight with all of these new ideas that we have going around?
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. I would say that teachers need to always grow professionally. You cannot grow if you remain where you are. You always have to add on to your knowledge and then be able to deliver, whether you are a teacher aspiring to be a head teacher or you are already a head teacher. And then if you're a head teacher, accountability is very key. You need to be answerable and accountable to your teachers, the children, and then the community. When you make people to understand how you do your things financially, how you go about with your resources and other things, when it becomes so open, people will trust you, and that when they want to support you at any point in time, they will come in to support. So be open, be transparent, and don't push people away. Don't always be frowning your face. Be lively. At least open your arms to accommodate people, regardless of their background, regardless of their location. Love children. Love the work. Love your role as a head teacher. Put in all your effort. Do the little that you can, and by the grace of God, you'll make a difference.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gloria. It's been such a pleasure talking with you and hearing your story. And I hope that that people will just take advantage of all what you've shared today and really start making a difference in some of these other communities that maybe haven't had the ideas or have thought about what they can really do. So thank you so much. And until next time, we'll be signing off. So thank you, listeners, for being here. If you've got value from our show, please share it on your channels, subscribe to this channel, and let people know that we're here and we're for education in Ghana and across West Africa and Africa in general. So stay tuned and we'll have more awesomeness like Gloria to share with us what is happening. So thank you again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a blessed evening.